Good evening. My name is Jeffrey Mullen. I'll be acting as chairman of the Milton Board of Appeals. Today is Wednesday, December 26th. We'll begin the 7:30 p.m. hearing in the Peter Blue conference room. Whose conference room is this?
Peter Blue.
Who is it? Tuesday, December 22nd. Upon the application of Ellen T. Cronin dated October 27th, 2015 on file with the board for a special permit from the terms of Section 3A9 of Chapter 10 of the General Bylaws of the town, so as to be able to create an approximately 450 square foot temporary in-law apartment within the second level of her single-family residence located at 114 Granite Place, Milton, which is located in a residential C district, all as therein set forth in the application and plans on file with the board and open to public inspection. My name is Jeffrey Mullen. I'll be acting as chairman for tonight's hearing. To my immediate left is Nicholas Gray, he's a board member, and to my immediate right is Stephen Lumbaum, board member. I have in front of me the application, which consists of the standard form filed for requesting a special permit filed by Mrs. Cronin, a letter from Building Commissioner Joseph Prondak, which I'll read into the record given the fact that the file is light. Dear Joseph and Eileen Cronin, this office has reviewed your proposal to create a temporary apartment within the second level of your home at 114 Granite Place. A plan by your contractor shows the conversion of approximately 450 square feet of living space above the existing garage into a studio-type apartment. The Milton zoning bylaw, Section 3A9, permits this type of alteration only if authorized by the issuance of a special permit. Therefore, your application is denied. If you apply for and receive the required special permit from the zoning board, your application will be reconsidered. In presenting your request to the board, it is incumbent upon you to demonstrate compliance with Sections 3A9, subsections A through L of the bylaw. Please contact Mary Fitzgerald, clerk to the zoning board, for assistance with the special permit. We have that letter from Mr. Prondak. We have the plan that is referred to in the letter, and we have a site plan showing the garage in relation to the balance of the premises. Mrs. Cronin is here.
Yes, I am.
Welcome to the Board of Appeals. Please join us.
Thank you.
So if I'd ask you to just introduce both, you sit there with where the microphones are. Introduce yourself and your address, and we can talk a little bit about your application, and then we'll have some questions. It's the custom of the board to ask those in testimony, those in attendance to speak in support, in opposition, and then we'll deliberate here in accordance with the Commonwealth's open meeting law. Mrs. Cronin,
Okay.
welcome to the board.
Thank you very much.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate you having me here. My name is Ellen Cronin. I am the homeowner and resident at 114 Granite Place, Milton. This is my son, David Cronin, who drove me here tonight. And I really request your favorable disposition to my application for a special permit.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about the permit and what you're proposing to do with the property?
Well, there's not a lot of change going on, but there is some. I've been living in the same house for 32 years, like very, very much where I am. And brought my family up, 7 children, grew up in that home, and I'm reluctant to leave there and didn't want to. But when my children grew up, and the last one did move out earlier in the year, the rest of the kids were concerned about me living by myself in such a big house, and I have some health challenges, and they were sort of advising me to make a decision of what to do. So I did, as everybody does, investigate some of the alternatives, downsizing or a condo or moving away, but I really didn't want to do it. I love where I am. I work at St. Agatha's Parish, which is only a mile away, so it's just very convenient, and I didn't want to leave. And so it turned out that my daughter and her husband and 2 little children were willing to move in with me, and that will work out well for all of us, I think. But I still wanted to maintain my independence and sort of separate from them in the same house. So that's why I would like to convert the room that's sort of a bonus room over the garage now into a studio apartment for myself.
So you'll be living in the studio?
I'll be living there, and they'll be living in the house.
Okay. Did you have a chance to review the provisions of the bylaw to which Mr. Prondak referred in his letter to you?
Yes, I did.
Okay, would you mind, we'll just step through them?
Yes.
I don't pretend to be an expert in them, but I'll prompt you with some questions, and we can use this
Okay.
in our deliberation. So you own the premises?
Yes, I do.
100%?
Yes,
And the, the persons occupying the principal dwelling quarters will be your daughter,
yes,
your son-in-law?
Yes.
Your 2 grandchildren?
that's right.
And you will occupy the temporary apartment?
Yes,
Can you, you will live alone, so you will then therefore live alone
in
in the temporary apartment?
Yes.
And then what will be in the temporary apartment?
Basically be my living quarters, so, a bed, bureau, couch, TV. There is already existing a bath, and I would like to add on an area where I could have a refrigerator, a sink, and, maybe a microwave or a coffee pot, that
No,
kind of
no
thing.
stove?
No stove.
So what is the space like now?
Right now, it's empty. It had been, it's been there since we moved in. And over the years, various of my children, as they went away to college, and then they, as they tend to do, came back.
We get it.
They
We
lived
get it.
there.
Say no more.
Yeah, and
Say
so
no more.
that's where they lived. And that's where my last son to leave, that's where he was living. And then he's been gone since March.
I see. Is the space above the garage accessible from the garage?
No,
So you have to go through the house to get to the space in
Yes.
which you're going to be living?
yes.
You talk about how to do that, you go up the stairs?
You would come in through this, there's 2 ways to get in. One would be from the deck, so you would have to walk all the way around the house and get on the deck and come up through that door, and that leads directly up to the stairs.
Does that mean I'm sorry, but do you go into the house and then up the stairs into the premises, or is it directly from outside?
Both. There's one way to get in there if you go around through get onto the deck and then come in through the back door.
Yeah.
There's also a side door that would lead directly to the kitchen, the main kitchen of the house. You would walk through the kitchen, and then there's a short flight of stairs that go directly up to the room.
I see. So it's gonna be hard for you to sneak out, if we approve this, it'll be hard for you to sneak out at night.
Considering the walker, it probably would be hard for me to sneak anywhere at any time.
How much of to talk a little bit about the improvements to the premises that you'll be planning, is there any exterior alterations? And
No.
then talk about the extent of the interior alterations that you're
Okay,
proposing.
there's no exterior alterations at all.
Well, other than maintenance, so for example,
Oh.
we already put the roof on.
There's a new roof, there's new windows.
Some of the wood trim
I
is
see.
rotting and needs to be covered with aluminum, so those are things that will be done in the ordinary course, probably in the spring.
But that's not being done on account of the apartment, is that right?
That's
In other words,
correct.
there's
Right.
not a window being created or anything like that?
That's
No,
correct.
Okay,
no.
okay.
So basically, other than regular maintenance,
Yeah.
as Dave said, what I have done up to this point, and we did have permits for this, is I took the bathroom that was there and modified that, improved it to make it more accessible for me with the walker. So it is eliminated like this threshold into the bathroom and expanded the bathroom.
I see. So it's minimal improvements?
Yes.
You'd be putting additional electric service or water service or anything like that in the house?
Well, we upgraded the electric service.
You did anyway?
Yes.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about your lot? Is it large? Is it small? Have you talked to your abutters your neighbors about this, and what do they say?
Well, my neighbors are great. Most of them have been there for many, many years, and I've talked to most of them. It's hard for them to not notice what's going on because we've had trucks out there now for months. So they all know that my daughter Sue is moving in with her family. They remember her from growing up. Everyone's happy, as far as they're telling me, to have little kids back in the neighborhood because they're all sort of grown up. There's only a handful. So they're happy to have that. They're happy for me that I'm going to be able to stay put. And the lot itself is a large lot, but it's sort of crazy because the backyard is small. It's 100-foot frontage, and but the backyard is really pretty small because it drops off very sharply down and bumps up to the fence that backs up to Andrews Field.
Right.
So it's not a usable backyard for the extent that it is. It's like a half an acre, but I don't have that much usable
Right.
land.
Right, okay, okay. And you understand that if this permit were granted, that it's temporary? And that
Yes.
it has an automatic expiration provisions in it?
I understand that.
So, I just read this into the record. It terminates by reason of a sale of the premises, residence by a tenant not named in the special permit. Now, your application is a little bit unusual. Perhaps that's not the case. I take that back. It's not what I was expecting. I was thinking that the daughter and her husband would be living in the new unit.
Yeah, no.
But that's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. That's permitted by the bylaw. So if there's somebody living in the house that's not named in the application, it will terminate.
Right,
Resident by a boarder or a lodger in either the temporary apartment or the principal dwelling quarters, that is not somebody in contiguity or in relation to you. Failure of an owner or dweller with at least a 50% ownership interest in the dweller to have his or their primary residence. So if you move out by any reason, a violation of any other term of the special permit which is not cured within 2 weeks, and 4 years from the date the special permit was granted. So the reason I read those is those are specifically built into the bylaw, and it limits our authority to grant a special permit. When we consider the special permit, we'll be considering the special permit subject to the conditions of the bylaw, plus any other conditions that the board believes might be appropriate, based on your testimony and what the people in the packed house tonight might say. So those are the questions that I have. Mr. Lumbaum, do you have any questions
Just
for Mrs.
for
Cronin or for
clarification,
her son?
This design here that's existing now, more or less?
I can't really see
This,
it.
Yes.
sketch that
Okay.
was
That
submitted
shows
as
the
part of
access from the
application.
2 points. Yeah.
Yes,
It
yes.
shows the access from the one of the
Right.
2 points, yeah.
I think just as a point of reference, I'm looking the bylaw over. I think we have to have the actual names of all the actual tenants. Well, the other tenants, but the occupiers of the principal place. We're going to need first and last names to
Oh, okay,
insert that into the
Well,
permit.
Susan,
rather
it's
than-
that's
not-
Susan.
that would be Susan. She's not really going to be a tenant. I mean,
Well, we
she's just
know.
going to be living.
Right.
Okay, so that would be Susan Wareska.
You're
Seth.
going to have to spell that, Mrs. Cronin.
Okay, Wereska. That's my daughter. Her husband, Seth Wareska.
Seth.
SETH.
Yes, and their 2 little boys, Calvin and Maxwell.
That's it.
Nick?
Oh, I just want to make sure I understand this picture, right? I think it's pretty clear, but one of the requirements of the bylaw is that anything that you add to the premises to make it, to the in-law apartment or whatever this is called, to make it usable for you, has to be temporary in nature and has to be able to be torn out when it's over. And part of what we have to describe is what's that the plan is sufficient, the part that's being added is sufficiently identified in the record. So the part that's being added, right, the bathroom is there, you said that.
Yes.
The room is basically there, it's empty. And the
Yes.
only thing that's being added, just so I'm clear, is just this little kitchenette thing here.
That's right.
Which you said, but I just want to make sure I got it in my notes. It consists of a sink, a dishwasher?
No.
No. You said a dish, what's built in, just the sink and the counter?
There's nothing there now.
No, now, but what are you
Right,
planning?
will be a sink,
Yeah.
a counter, a refrigerator will be there.
Okay.
A microwave and some above.
Some cabinets.
Cabinets,
Okay.
that's it.
All right. Let's see. There was also something in the bylaw about the number of vehicles, cars. No more than 5 vehicles.
Well,
Are you
we'll
anywhere
have-
near that limit, or?
No, we'll have 3.
3, okay. I think that was all I had.
Any other
So,
questions,
well,
members of the
ju-
board?
Just to clarify,
That's
this,
the new.
this is going to be added.
That's-
It's not-
that's-
That's not existing.
Correct.
Okay,
That's my
this is.
understanding.
The
Yeah,
bath is
the bathroom,
existing.
the bathroom is there now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's confusing, right, because it says this is existing and proposed.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, it's,
so we've got it covered.
we got it. We just want to make
Yeah.
sure we are properly understanding what we're doing.
Any other questions? Nick?
No other questions?
No.
Can I ask if anyone in the audience has any questions of the applicants? Hearing none, ask if anybody in the audience wants to speak in favor of the application. No one speaks in favor. Anyone in opposition to the application? Nobody in opposition. Do you have anything to add, Mrs. Cronin, to your
No.
application? Okay, David?
No, thank
Okay.
you. Thank you for the time.
Okay,
Yes.
so we'll close the evidentiary portion of the hearing, and we'll debate in open session right now in accordance with the Commonwealth's open meeting law, the merits of the application. And we'll reach a decision right now.
Great.
This is government in action.
Love it.
Mr. Lumbo?
Thank you,
You're
Acting
welcome.
Chairman. Well, thank you for your application, Mrs. Cronin, very well presented. It's amazing to me how long and detailed this temporary apartment bylaw is, but it is. But I think you've hit all the little bullet items that you need to on this, and obviously there's a need, and you've demonstrated that, described it well. And I think it certainly doesn't overburden the intent of this particular bylaw as described. So I think I would tend to vote in favor of the application,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Gray?
I tend to agree with Mr. Lundbaum. Your application seems to be clearly within the scope of what the intent of the bylaw was, what the bylaw was created for. Town meeting left us with, as has been mentioned, like 4 pages of extremely detailed. My sense is that the in-law, they wanted to try to narrow the scope and emphasize the temporary nature of these things, but obviously your plan couldn't be, the changes that you're making to the property to accommodate your apartment seem to be just about as minimal as it can get, and easily reversible, and obviously you meet the rest of the requirements as far as I can tell, so I would be in favor, tend to be in favor of voting for it.
I agree with my colleagues. I think it's terrific. I'm glad to have the bylaw, and I'm glad that you're in a position to take advantage of it. It sounds great, a great result for you and for your family. And it fits squarely within the intent of this, and I'm happy to vote in favor of this special permit, subject to the conditions of the bylaw, and with the understanding of the facts and circumstances that you so well presented to us tonight. So
Thank you. I'm very happy to hear this.
you're welcome. So that's a 3-0 decision. We'll take a couple of weeks to write it up and provide it to Mrs. Fitzgerald. She will provide it to the town clerk, and then there's a 20-day appeal period, and then you can apply for the appropriate approvals from the building inspector and be on your way.
Terrific. Thank you so
Congratulations.
much. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Appreciate the
Good luck
time.
with it.
Thank
Do we have
you.
to record that?
Oh, yeah, you'll want to record this special permit so that you can put people on notice to the extent they have any title issues.
At the Registry of Deeds in Norfolk County.
Oh,
Yeah,
Still in
and
Dedham,
any renewal,
right?
yeah.
And that's a document that will be provided by the town?
You'll give it to the town clerk will provide you with it.
Great.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Good luck.
Yep.
Good night.
You're
Good night.
Night.
Right now, pretty much.
welcome. Who wants to
Flip
write
a
it up?
coin, Jay. Nick, you want to flip for this one? I don't want to all this too chill.
If it's
Sure,
going to
I'll-
be me, it's going to be a while because I am going to Ireland for.
You are?
Nice.
Right.
When are you going?
I'm leaving Sunday. Right after the Board of Appeals.
Did anyone else just come out like this, or was
Too
it
funny.
was just
It's
me?
your-
Probably the way
It was
it's
just me?
stated.
Yeah. I did.
It's probably the way
Are we still on?
We're still on, we
Oh,
have
we
another
are.
hearing.
Terrific. All right, great.
Trying to make it interesting for Christmas.
We will
Oh, thank you.
apologize for not wearing a tie tonight. I thought I was going to a holiday party instead of
Instead of a ZBA meeting?
a ZBA meeting.
You didn't wear a tie to the holiday party?
We're going to call to order the 7:45 hearing of the Board of Appeals. on December 22nd, 2015, upon the application of Ray and Brenda Keneally, dated November 16, on file with the Board of Appeals for a variance from the terms of sections 3B2 and 6E3 of the Milton zoning bylaw. The applicants propose to build a 12 by 12 open deck with a 4 by 7 foot 8 inch L connecting to the existing deck, and install a 15 by 24 foot above ground swimming pool at the rear of the existing home at 954 Canton Ave, Milton, which property is located in a residential B zoning district. Section 3B2 of the bylaws require that swimming pools be constructed a minimum distance of 12 feet from a structure. The applicant's plan shows the proposed pool to be located at a distance of 2 feet from the existing deck and 7 feet from the proposed 12 by 12 foot deck. The same plan also indicates that the lot coverage, including the proposed pool and decking, will be 3,718 square feet when only 3,429 square feet are permissible under section 6E3 of the bylaws. All are set forth in the application and plans on file with the board and open to public inspection. My name is Jeffrey Mullen. I'll be acting as chairman of the board for tonight's hearing. With me is, to my immediate left is Nicholas Gray, and to my immediate right, Stephen Lumbong, both of whom are board members. With me, in the application, in the file, I have the Town of Milton Board of Appeals application that's been filed by Mr. and Mrs. Keneally, a letter from Joseph Prondak, the building commissioner, indicating that their application for a permit had been denied, to which they have appealed. A site plan prepared by Land Planning, Inc., showing the deck and the pool, as well as the existing dwelling, existing garage, and the lot lines on Canton Avenue near its intersection with Harlan Street, and a plan of the premises from the Milton Board of Assessors, as well as names and addresses of the abutters and parties in interest nearby the property. Mr. and Mrs. Keneally, welcome to the Board of Appeals. Join us. So, perhaps you could just explain to us a little bit about your project and why it's being undertaken.
Should I introduce myself again?
Please, yeah, yes.
My name is Ray Keneally, and this is my wife, Brenda Keneally. We live at 954 Canton Ave, and we are applying for a variance to locate our proposed new above-ground pool adjacent to our deck. And I'm not sure if you know the history or if you're familiar with the area itself, but 20 years ago, along Harlan Street, there were no homes.
Yes.
And
Paul Sullivan built them.
correct. It was the Miller, it was a cabinet shop place there. Well, 15 years ago, well, before that time, during that time, the flow of the water used to come down Canton Ave, cross over Harlan Street, and actually end up Trout Brook. So when they built these homes, it changed the whole flow of water.
How long have you owned the premises?
It's been in the family since, for a very long time. Actually, my father, my grandmother rented from the Oaks, and then they purchased it back in 94, I think it was.
We've been
96.
there 11 years.
So- Yeah, we've been there about 11 years. So, so again, the surface water, the flow of the water would come down Canton Ave, cross over Harlan Street, and typically it'd want to flow towards Trout Brook. And so when they built these homes 15 years ago, that disrupted the whole flow of the water. And from what I understand, there was damage in some of the newer homes. The town actually reacted. They installed a catch base in front of one of the homes. And I believe and what they also did was they made like an asphalt curbing parallel to Canton Avenue, which crossed perpendicular at the entrance of Harlan, to try and keep the water on Canton Avenue and flow down Canton Avenue in front of my lot to the next and nearest catch base. So that was all well and good for the new homes that were being built, but it wasn't so good for my lot, because when they built up these homes, they actually built up the grade, and so that kind of landlocked my lot. And so when they diverted this water, the water would, because we don't have any curbing on Canton Avenue, the street, the sidewalk, it's almost level. And so the water would flow literally past Harlan Street and down my driveway. It would pass Harlan Street, down the driveway, around the garage, and pool into the angle part of my lot. Because the grade on 8 Harlan Street and the grade on, at 9542 was much higher than my lot by 2 or 3 feet. So it just pools there. So, and it has no place to go. The only place the water's gonna go is gonna go down through the ground. It's gonna percolate down into the ground. So, naturally, I'm not gonna put a pool there and erase the surface amount, the surface of that lot. If I was gonna put a pool, I'm gonna try and put it uphill. And that's what I'm trying to attempt here. It just coincidentally, it actually, you know, it's gonna be next to a deck, but that would be the logical point, or logical location for me to put a pool or anything else would be uphill. So I was kind of surprised when the town said I had to be away from the structure, and they considered the deck a structure. I figured a structure would be, you know, 4 walls, a roof, but they're considering a deck a structure. So that's the long and short of it. That's what I'm here for.
What about the deck itself? You need a variance for the deck too, right?
No, we already have the permit.
We had the permits for the decks. Actually, the large deck was already built.
The large deck at 12 foot by 12 foot's already been built. It's shown on the plan. That was gonna be one of my
Right.
questions.
Right, that was a little confusion,
Yeah.
some confusion on the building department. I was holding off between that deck and the larger deck. Those 2 decks are built. I was holding off between the connector because it all depends what happens here tonight.
Which 2 decks are built?
The large one that,
Yeah. I
Yeah.
see that, the 12 foot by 12 foot deck has been built.
yes.
What about the 4 foot by 7?
No, that's a connector, that would be a connector
That's
between
the
the 2.
connector. Where's the second deck?
The
Oh,
la-
the deck on the side?
Yeah, you have one large directly behind the addition,
Yeah,
the very large one, that
Yeah.
one's in place.
yeah.
And then if you're standing in the backyard, you're facing the back of the house, the deck to the right, that's the 12 by 12.
Right,
That's an in-law.
We have an in-law.
above that.
No, that's.
What does that mean?
It's a deck for the in-law apartment,
I see,
yeah,
I see. So that has a separate entrance.
correct.
And the second deck is on the side. Is that what you're saying? I'm confused about what you're saying to us. I
This-
see 3 decks on your plan.
Right,
Which of the decks exist?
all 3.
We have 2 decks.
What's the 4 foot by 7 foot 8 inch L? What is that?
That's a connector between the,
Where is that?
it's not there, it's not built.
It's not shown on this plan?
No.
What's the thing that says proposed deck?
Yeah, I don't yeah, what is do you have this plan that you?
Yeah, I do.
What is the thing that's called the proposed deck?
That's the 12 by 12. That's the 12 by 12 deck,
That's the 12 by 12.
right.
Where is the 4 by 7? 7 foot,
I think it's this,
It's
that
connecting
little thing right
the
there.
12 by 12
It's
to,
connecting it, right?
it doesn't show on here?
It shows as a very small rectangle
it is.
between the 2
Yeah,
decks. Is that
It's
what
a
it?
small rectangle, yes.
Oh, it's a piece of that.
Yeah, I get it.
I think.
Oh. So only a piece of the thing that's called the proposed deck has been built?
Right.
I see,
This is the L right here, Jeff. This thing here.
I see. Okay. All right, let's just figure out what we're actually considering here. So you need relief for the pool. That may be the only relief you need then, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
Proposed pool and deck,
Oh,
oh.
The size of the pool
You've
is
got too much
Proposed
coverage.
12 by
coverage, yeah,
12.
the size of the pool
I
triggers
see.
excess coverage.
Oh, because of our
Okay.
garage is freestanding?
No, the total coverage is a certain fraction between coverage, so.
So to modify what you're really asking for is you're not asking to build the deck, you're asking to finish the deck with the 4 foot by 7 foot 8 inch. I think it says 7.8 feet. I don't know what that is. If that's 7 feet, 8
That's a
inches.
length, yeah, 7 feet, inch.
Yeah,
just a little
7 feet,
length of
8
it.
inches.
Yep.
Connector. And in doing that, in connection with the construction of your swimming pool, the swimming pool will be closer to the structure than is otherwise permitted by the bylaw, which requires a minimum distance of 12 feet. So you need relief for that.
Right.
And then when you add the proposed pool and the decking to the amount of lot coverage, you are in excess of that by almost 300 feet, which you're seeking relief for under section 6E3 of the zoning bylaws. Did I accurately say that?
Yes, yes, you did.
Can I ask you if anything that you're doing is going to have any effect on the drainage? Or if the placement of the pool is, you're putting the pool in the location, you're putting it because of the drainage issues that you have?
Right, the lowest point of my lot is that angle point. And so that area right there is the low point. That is that's the only drainage I have.
What's the proposal to remedy the drainage?
Well, what I did was, the remedy for the drainage was, it was actually undermining my driveway, and it actually undermined the garage as well. I actually sank about $25,000 to rebuild the driveway. I still have structural issues from the garage because the water would flow around it. So it was really just to get the water to that point.
Has
And
it
just-
been fixed?
I haven't had any floods in my basement recently.
How about your neighbors?
I can't answer for them. I know they've, the last heavy rainstorm, I think they still have issues. I mean, if you drive down the road, you look down Harlan Street at any given rainstorm, you're gonna see a pond of water in front of 8 Harlan Street, because that water just wants to go to Trout Brook. And, it's just, it's existing conditions.
Let me ask you if my colleagues have any questions of the applicants.
I'm still sorting it out.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. No problem. No problem.
I'll be with you in a minute.
Okay, Mr. Lombard?
I'm behind.
So there's, I mean, you probably have already said this, and so
No, go ahead.
I guess I understand that the square footage variance, right? We're covering too much of the property, and the proposal would cover too much of the land, so we need a variance for that. I get that. The second variance concerns the distance that the pool is from a structure,
Correct,
right?
correct.
Firm grasp of the obvious, right? Just go ahead and say it, it's all right.
No, that's right.
It has to be 12 feet from a structure, and they're looking at it to be 2 feet from a structure.
Well,
From the structure, well, because the deck is a structure, I understand, yeah.
Is it actually going to be 2 feet, or is it going to be connected?
It's actually incorporated into
You're
the
going to be walking off the structure into the water.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we should just say that, because that's what you're going to do. There's
Right.
not going to be a gap.
No.
It's designed, the pool is going to be, the deck is going to be designed around the pool,
Right,
as if it were a built-in pool,
correct.
at least with respect to where it intersects with the
Right.
deck.
So that if
For
you.
two of its sides.
If you had a gap, for example, in that application, you'd end up falling between the side of the pool and the deck.
Yeah.
You have
no,
to be
Is
small.
Is that right? Well, I don't know.
Depends on the size
If you,
of the
if you,
deck.
yeah.
Little
There-
kid.
There's no plan for
Skinny
a gap.
person.
There's no.
Yeah,
plan
well,
for
that's what I'm saying. I mean, but the fact that there is no gap increases your out of compliance-ness, there's a legal term, with the bylaw. So,
Yep.
but what I'm trying to do is come up with a rationale why that, in this particular case, given all the facts and circumstances, is a good idea, because you really wouldn't want to build a pool, the above-ground pool and the deck very far away from each other if you're going to be passing from one to the next. Does that seem right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I don't have any other questions, I guess.
We talk about the pool. Give us an idea of what's the size of the pool?
15 by 24, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I
it's
believe
not on
that's
the
it.
plan.
Is that what
50.
you're proposing on?
Well, that was,
That was,
ask my wife for that.
that was like 2 years ago when we decided to do this, and then we didn't realize we would be denied because we thought 12 feet from the house. I mean, we may go a little bit smaller than the 24.
Is it,
We have-
is it approximately the size shown on the plan?
It is.
Yeah.
Is it oval?
It's the
Oh.
exact same dimension,
Yeah,
actually, is what we,
oval.
Okay.
but again, we weren't, we were kind of in limbo a little bit. We sort of picked it and then we,
We had to wait for you
Just one
guys, to see if it would go through or not.
How deep is the pool?
it's just a,
Well, 5 feet, the
4
above
feet. It's not-
typical 4
yeah, it's
feet.
above ground. I think it's 45 inches or something like that. 48 inches.
Will the deck have, I guess, the large existing deck that will be somewhere around 2 feet adjacent to the pool? What are the dimensions of that deck now approximately, and is there fencing or rails?
There are rails, but that, actually, the side of that, I don't know why the surveyor indicated 2 feet, to be honest with you. Because I planned on incorporating the pool where possible. There is currently, there's railings in place right now, but,
On the deck?
yes.
I have to drop my daughter off. I'm late.
Thank you.
So,
You all set?
Yes.
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry. Is there be a fence around the pool?
Haven't really thought about it.
Yeah.
Whatever it
The
calls for.
bylaw requires a fence.
Okay,
Let me read what it says. Any pool over 24 inches deep shall be fenced by a chain link fence, or at least 4 feet high, or a stockade type fence at least 5 feet high with a self-latching gate, or an equivalent enclosure or means of protection from access to the pool. Okay?
okay,
So if we consider this when we consider this application, we're going to assume that it will be appropriately fenced in accordance with the terms of the bylaw.
okay,
Now, the way that you've designed this pool, it could be that it doesn't need to be completely fenced because it's actually going to be somewhat, it's going to feel like it's attached to your home. And with your balustrades around the deck, it could serve as a fence. I don't know. That's an issue for the building inspector. But you still need to comply with the requirements of the bylaw that requires a fencing enclosure, either chain link or stockade type. So
Okay.
it's something to think about, and it's something that we're going to take into consideration when we consider this.
okay,
Okay?
yes.
And that's a safety feature. As I read the bylaw, I'm not sure you're not 12 feet away from any building. I mean, that's what it says. It doesn't say structure. So, and there's a difference.
Okay.
I can see where the deck could be a structure because it requires a building permit, but I don't think a deck is a building. We'll still consider it in the most conservative way that it's been presented to us. But I think there's a case to be made that it's already in compliance with the distance from the building on the premises.
Right,
Doesn't mean don't need a permit because you do for a swimming pool in this town. Excuse me, in any event. So that's something to think about. Now, with respect to the lot frontage, the lot coverage, it does not feel to me like this lot is that small. Does it feel that way to you? Tell us a little bit about your lot.
no, it's a fairly decent lot, I'm not
Yeah.
saying it's small. Again, the grade for the lot, it's basically from front to back, and everything, all the water, if anything, that's surface water, is going to that back corner, that back angle, or that area there.
Have you talked to your neighbors about the application?
Yes, I think my wife has,
What did they say?
just Steve, no worries, no. We know them very well.
And how about the gas station on the other side?
Yeah, I haven't spoken to 8 Harlan, but I've spoken to, which is the owner of the gas station, which is Steve Wells.
Yeah.
And then Steve lives behind me as well, so,
He lives in that house behind you?
yes.
Yeah. That wood retaining wall that's on your property up against the gas station, how high is that?
Oh, it's like 20 inches. It's not, it's like 20 inches. Yeah,
Okay,
it's like a small,
okay.
it's like a planter more than anything.
Can I ask if anybody has any other additional questions? Any of my colleagues?
Well, one question, I don't really know quite how to ask it, but can you talk about is the lot coverage, like the number of buildings and structures and the stuff you have covering the lot, would you say it's consistent with other homes in your neighborhood, or it's more or less than other?
I think it's less. That's a tough one to answer, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, based on the frontage of other properties, I think it's, I'm not like maxed out, putting it that way. I got plenty of grass, green around my home.
Yeah, even after the
Yes.
project is
Yeah,
over.
I believe so, yes.
Do you think it would be a significantly different percentage of coverage on your lot after this project than your neighboring properties?
I don't believe so,
Okay.
you know.
I don't think I have any other questions.
Terrific. Steve?
No, I think I'm all set.
Now, there's nobody in the audience, just for the record, so I'm not going to go through unless the audio technicians have any questions, but I'm not going to go through the process of asking if anyone in the audience wishes to speak in favor and support of, in opposition, or has questions of the applicant. Since there's nobody here, we'll take notice that there is nobody speaking in any of that capacity. With that said, unless Mr. Keneally has something to add to the application, I'd like to close the evidentiary portion of the hearing.
No, sir, I'm fine.
Deliberate on its
Yeah.
merits in accordance with the Commonwealth's open meeting law, which we'll do right here and now. Ms. Lumbo.
Well, thank you for your application, Mr. Keneally. Yeah, it's a little tricky, but I think it's probably doable. As Jeff said, I don't think we have to be overly conservative in the application here based on some of the distances and lot size and so forth. You know, if you can work out the fencing, which will be a requirement anyway, I think in the overall, it's something that I could vote in favor of.
Nick?
I think, given the fact that there's not been much opposition expressed, I could be convinced to vote in favor of it. I feel a little uneasy because I'm not 100% sure of that that the lot coverage issue is of this home after it's been modified is going to be. I think it might be a little bit out of character with the ones in that area. But based on what? Based on looking at a map and having driven around there once in a while. But there, as I say, there's no opposition to it one way or another. It's not probably significantly more coverage than other homes in the neighborhood. So I guess, given the lack of opposition, I think it would be all right. I'd probably vote in favor of it.
I agree with my colleagues. I think that first of all, I think the swimming pool is already 12 feet away from the closest building, or is proposed to be 12 feet away. I think the addition of the deck is tasteful and will make the swimming pool much more complementary with the structure. I think that's a terrific a solution to your issue there. Probably more preferable than a standalone where you would not have that feature. I think we're looking at the bylaw a little bit more conservatively than we need to because of the issue that's been presented to us as 12 feet from a structure when what the bylaw says is 12 feet from a building. Nevertheless, I would support it as proposed. I wish the plan were a little bit more updated, but that's okay. I think we got the facts out on the table, which call for variance to permit the installation of an above-ground, a permit to permit the installation of an above-ground swimming pool, and a variance to authorize that swimming pool to be built closer than 12 feet from the nearest structure. And then with respect to lot coverage, while I do agree with Mr. Gray, I think that as presented in the kind of funny configuration of this lot, I think it's on balance. I don't think it's a bad improvement, particularly because the coverage, the missing coverage is relatively small, and it really is represented by the presence of the pool.
Yeah.
So with that, I would vote to support the application as presented, and I'll ask for confirmation of that from my two colleagues, both of whom said they would support it but didn't vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye.
So congratulations, you had the relief you sought from the town. As with the prior application, we'll take a couple of weeks to write this up. We'll provide it to Mrs. Fitzgerald, who will present it to the town clerk for filing. It will then be issued. There'll be a 20-day appeal period, and we always advise applicants to record the relief and the decision of the board and the registry of deeds and Dedham so they don't run with your land. Yes.
As a point of completeness in terms of recording the variance, or
It's variance, right?
He's got a permit and a variance here.
okay,
Yeah.
so we're doing a permit and a separate
It'd be in the
variance.
same, it could be in the same document.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is your name Raymond or Ray?
Right,
Okay, so it'll be recorded as such. Okay.
okay.
We want to make sure we get it right.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks.
So it's okay.
Okay, thank you. Merry Christmas all.
Merry Christmas.